Summer reading is here. Visit summerreading.queenslibrary.org for our full summer reading program schedule, book lists for all ages, and other resources to keep your kids engaged and learning all summer long. Queens Public Library, along with the New York City Department of Education, will be providing free lunches for all children under 18 throughout the summertime. Summer meals will be offered Monday to Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. through August 31st. Enrollment is not required and there is no cost. For more information and a list of participating libraries, visit queenslibrary.org. You can take QPL with you wherever you are. Our digital materials, including e-magazines, e-books, and more, are available 24/7 from anywhere with an internet connection. Download the QPL mobile app at connect.queenslibrary.org.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. I'm Christopher Galarza, Queens Public Library's Community Health Educator. Today, we welcome the nutrition team from New York City Health and Hospital's Elmhurst Hospital. Today, we're going to talk about nutrition during the summer. The nutrition team has prepared a video for us, and then we'll open the floor up to answer all your nutrition questions at the end. So please think of some questions and put them in the chat so we can answer them at the end of the program. Without further ado, let's get started.
Good afternoon. My name is Jay Huang. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services at Elmhurst Hospital. I'm very happy today. We are teamed up with the Queens Library. During this season, we are going to do a lot of healthy topics with Queens Library. So today, it's my pleasure. I have Miss Monica Schmidt, our Clinical Nutrition Manager, and Edwin Johnson, our Clinical Nutrition Manager for Ambulatory Care. As you know, during the summertime, we like to gather with our family and friends to do barbecue. So this is the perfect season. We are going to talk about some healthy eating and make sure the food is safe. So before we start showing the different recipe, I just want to say every time when you do barbecue, it's the best way is make sure you have a thermometer. But of course, not everybody has a thermometer at home. So I think one little rule of thumb you could do is you put everything in the cooler with ice. Or something, you put the ice bath at the bottom. Okay, so it's very important, especially few items like a beef, anything high in protein, beef, pork, chicken, seafood, eggs, all these high protein items, you make sure is under the 40 degree. That's the safety range you should keep. And a simple way to do it is that make sure every raw item, you try not to leave under the room temperature more than 1 hour. So every time the best way, so I think this is simple enough. If you have something you're cooking, you leave it outside the room temperature. After 30 minutes, you probably want to put it back to the cooler or put it back to the refrigerator. So that's the way to keep all your high protein items safe. So during this summertime, I wish you have a healthy and wonderful barbecue. And I'm so glad Monica and Edwin is going to show you some excellent recipe. So enjoy it.
Hi everybody, my name is Monica Schmidt. I am the Clinical Nutrition Manager here at Elmhurst Hospital. And today I have with me Edwin Johnson. He is the Ambulatory Nutrition Care Manager here at Elmhurst. And today we have a really exciting recipe. We are making virgin mojito. So mojitos are one of my favorite summer drinks. They're refreshing, they're light, they're very easy to drink, but we need to really be mindful of our alcohol consumption. So this is a way to keep yourself hydrated But it's a great alternative to water that really just adds a little bit more kick, a little bit more flavor to make it a little bit more interesting.
And Monica, I also heard that non-alcoholic drinks are trending now.
Yes, they're very popular. You'll see it all over social media.
Yep.
People are really jumping on the bandwagon of drinking things that don't contain alcohol, but also have some flavor to them and are a little bit fun to drink. So this recipe, it's super easy to make. You know, you most likely might have some of these either in your fridge already, maybe even in your garden. So we're gonna have the mint here, which we'll be using. We have our fresh lime juice, some soda water, and then we'll have our simple syrup, which I will get to later in this demonstration. One of the first things that we need to start off with is our fresh mint here. I love mint, especially in the summertime. You can put it in salads. Most people even just have this in their garden. And it is readily available, you know, in major supermarkets, even at little small supermarkets in your neighborhood. So for this recipe, this makes 1 serving. We need 10 sprigs of mint. So I'm just gonna put that in here. So you can use, you know, a tumbler glass, a shaker glass, anything that is sturdy enough to really get the mint leaves crushed up. Now, typically you would use a muddler like you would for, you would see at a bar. For this, I'm just gonna use a ladle, anything that would be strong enough to crush up and muddle this mint. Anything would really work that you have in your kitchen, even just a spoon. So with this, I do need a little liquid to get this nice and muddled up. I'm gonna use about 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Here we have fresh lime juice. You can also use store-bought lime juice if you have that in your fridge. I'm just gonna eyeball it here. This can also be to taste.
While you're doing that,
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Can we add other fruits, other
Yeah.
juices in this if we want
Of
to?
course,
or
yes.
Is it just lime juice?
Yeah, we can, and you can be very creative with this.
Okay.
It definitely things that are in season would be preferred for this. Any type of fruit that you would like, strawberries. You can muddle in some strawberries with this mint, a strawberry puree.
Okay, yeah.
We could also get pomegranates, mango, anything that, makes it a little bit fun, anything you have on hand. But for this, I'm keeping it traditional. I'm gonna use the lime.
Sounds good.
So I'm just gonna crush this up. If you have a muddler, that's great. But again, keeping it realistic, not everybody has a muddler.
So you could use a spoon, you
Spoon,
could use a
yep.
ladle, right? Like
Yep,
you said?
a ladle, something that really can crush this up and muddle it down.
Right.
And again, I'm using that liquid in the lime juice to really get it nice and muddled, kind of crushed
Yeah.
up, right? Just to really get those oils out, to get the flavor out from those leaves there, the mint leaves. All right, I think I did a good job with that.
Looks
See?
good.
Yep, you
Yep.
can smell it too.
Smells
So what's great about this is, water can be boring a little bit.
It can be.
Yeah. And this really just is hydrating, it's refreshing. So, especially in those summer months. And if you don't want to drink alcohol, this is a great alternative.
Yeah.
All right, next. So this is a fun trick, a fun ingredient to have on hand.
What is it?
This is a simple syrup.
Okay.
This is actually made, typically your simple syrups are made with sugar. This one is actually made with honey. So typically a simple syrup is 1 part water, 1 part sweetener. So in this case, I have honey. So I use a half a cup of honey here, a half a cup of water. I brought it to a boil on the stove.
Okay.
And just made sure everything was nice and dissolved. And then you can make a big batch of this, put it in any kind of drink, mocktail, cocktail, really anything. It's a really nice ingredient to have on hand. And that way the sugar is already nice and dissolved. It's really easy to use.
So after you're done with this recipe, you can just store it in the fridge?
Oh, yep,
Use
and have it
fire?
on hand. Yep.
Okay.
So it's a really great staple ingredient to have, especially when you're making drinks. So I'm adding, again, I added 2 tablespoons of lime here. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons, I'm gonna eyeball it, of the simple syrup. So again, this is honey and water mixed together and dissolved together. Then all we do is top it off with some soda water here. So we have our soda water. You can also just use any kind of even like flavored club soda you might have on hand. You could have a lime flavored club soda, anything you really,
Yeah.
something fizzy.
Some seltzers.
Seltzers, anything you really have on hand. Non-alcoholic seltzers.
Yeah. Right.
All right. And this can be to taste. So you want to add less sweetener, more sweetener. This is a pretty low sugar drink. The drink itself is about 50 calories. But again, it's to your preference, really. All right. And then I am just gonna mix that a little bit together. And that's it. So I'm gonna pour it in these glasses here. All right. And then all we do is gonna make it pretty. We have some lime slices, and Ed, I mean, I know you're a bartender, so you can show off your bartending skills here.
There we go. Just like that.
There we go.
Make it nice and pretty.
Make it fun, right? And you can garnish this again. If you're making it with strawberries, you can make it, slice up some strawberries and slice that up and garnish your drink with that. And that's it.
Nice and simple.
There you go. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, and for our next recipe, we're going to be making a mango parfait. It's a great summer snack. Great to get the kids involved. It's very high in protein, and it has natural sweetness to it.
Yes. Yeah. It's a really, nice snack to have in the middle of the day. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things, you may have on hand, and you can really get creative with this too. It's not a one-size-fit-all recipe.
Correct. And you know what I love about it? It's simple.
Yes.
Only 4 ingredients.
Love simple recipes.
Me too. We have the Greek yogurt, mango, coconut, and granola.
Yep.
That's all you need.
Yep. Yeah, so to get started with this recipe, we are going to start with preparing our mango, which can be a little intimidating, but Ed is going to show you a way to really make it as simple as possible while keeping you safe as well.
I will do my best. So here we have a nice mango. First of all, I want to make sure the stickers are off.
Yep. Now, Ed, how would you know if a mango is ripe? What are some things that you would look for?
One of the main things you want to look for is the feel.
Okay.
If you feel the mango and it's too tough, it's too hard, more likely than not, you cut into it.
It's going to be a little difficult to
it's
chop
not
up.
going to be sweet.
Yeah,
It might be a little tart,
Okay.
a little sour. But
right.
you really want that fresh orange look to it. You want that
Nice
sweetness
softer
to it.
texture too.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So what is the first thing that you would do to prepare this mango?
So at the stem, we would just cut the top off real quick.
Okay.
Now that that's out of the way, we're going to get rid of the skin.
Okay.
So now that might be a little bit of a process. So I'll just show you real quick. You want to get as thin of a slice as you can with the skin, because you want to make sure that you're not taking away too much of the mango flesh.
So just
right?
like you would peel an apple.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
And if you have a Y peeler on hand or a fruit peeler at home, even easier. But if all you have is a knife, you just want to take your time and just slowly go around that mango.
Okay, great. Now, while Ed's doing that, I'm going to show you how to prepare this parfait. And it's very simple, and again, it can be very customizable. So you want to start off with a nice glass. You can make it as fancy or as simple as you want. And we're going to just layer it. So the first layer here is our Greek yogurt. Now, Greek yogurt is great. It's high in protein compared to regular yogurt. And this is a plain yogurt, so there's no sugar added here. We're really going to get the natural sweetness from the other ingredients that we're adding. Yogurt's also high in calcium. There's also a lot of good probiotics in here, which is good for our gut health. So I'm going to try to make it as pretty as possible. But again, you can make it messy. We're not going to judge you for that. Now we're going to layer our next layer into it. I'm going to get the mango that we chopped up earlier here. We just diced it up really nicely. This is a nice, ripe, sweet mango. Sweeter the better for something like this, because again, we're not adding any sugar to this, any added sugar, I should say. All right, we got that. And then we have our coconut. I love coconut with mango. It gives it a very tropical feel.
Me too.
And it really just adds another layer of sweetness. You can toast this up too if you wanted to get a nice extra flavor to it.
I do like that, doing that every now and then.
Toasting it up, yep.
Yeah.
Just a little extra step, but it does add like a nice
Texture and a crunch.
And little crunch to it.
Yeah.
And then we have some crunch. We have our granola here. So granola, you can even use cereal if you wanted to. Something that adds a nice little sweetness, a nice little crunch to it. I'm just gonna layer that on.
Yeah, that looks very pretty, actually.
Right? So far, and then I'm actually gonna do another layer here. So how's the mango peeling going?
The mango peeling is done.
Okay, so what's the next step here?
Okay, so the next step, it can be difficult, but at the core of the mango, there is a seed.
Okay,
So we don't want to cut right through the middle because you're going to hit the
hit
seed,
the seed,
right?
okay.
So really what you want to do is go side by side. So each side, you're going to cut as close to the seed as you can, just so you get as much of the fruit as you possibly can, okay? So if you see here, no seed.
Oh,
It's
great,
just the mango
okay.
flesh, right? So you're going to keep going around. And actually, I have the benefit of kind of seeing that seed pop out right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a better idea of where the seed's going to be. Even on top, you can see the seed. So you want to get as close as you can to the seed
While
without
being-
actually.
While being very careful.
Be very careful.
They do get a little slippery too.
Exactly. Slipping out of my hands now. Okay.
All right, so with these parfaits, again, you can really be as creative as you want with these. You can add strawberries to it, blueberries, really any kind of fruit that you have, any kind of in-season fruit. Again, I'm gonna try to make this as pretty as possible. So I'm just doing another layer of yogurt here.
It's looking great.
Any other fun suggestions you think we could add to this?
Chia seeds.
Chia
And
seeds,
these
I love that.
Seeds too, yeah.
Yes. Seeds, nuts, right? And then I'll do another layer of mango. You can see Ed chopped this up really nice earlier. This is a nice dice.
Fine dice
Yes.
chopping to all this mango.
And then I'm doing some more coconut. Yeah, so this is
Yeah,
more of
that
a
looks-
tropical flavor.
That looks like a dessert. You
It
wouldn't
does,
even
yeah.
think it's like so healthy for
yeah,
you, but
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And I'll just do another layer of granola. And again, you can use cereal, seeds, something that you want to give it a nice little crunch.
And I feel like you're going to be pretty
Ooh, there we
filled up
go.
after that, right?
Yes, very filled up. Yeah, we got some nice protein in here,
Yeah,
fiber from the
protein.
fruit. That mango has some good nutrients as well, some vitamin C, which is really good for our immune health.
Absolutely.
But again, be creative with it. Make it as pretty, as ugly as you want. We don't care. It's a nice, healthy snack.
Mine would be ugly, but that's okay.
Not too bad. Yes, and then if you wanted to complete the dice, to
Yep.
show how you obtained this nice dice here that we got from earlier,
Sure. If you, I would cut it
like lengthwise.
lengthwise.
Lengthwise, okay.
thin,
So some
lengthwise
thin
strips.
strips, okay.
After that, I like getting as close as I can.
Well, being careful not to cut yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's get that out of the way.
All right, and then you just do the crosswise
Yep.
then. All right,
Then you just cut right across.
awesome.
And since it was already cut lengthwise, you get that really
Nice
the
dice.
really fine pieces.
Great.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and that's the yogurt parfait. Again, this can be used as a snack, especially through the summer months, something cool. Maybe an alternative to ice cream
Yeah,
if you're
absolutely.
craving something sweet, but still that creaminess that you would get from ice cream. So
Has a lot of creaminess.
it looks like an ice cream sundae, but it's healthier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
So it is grilling season, and for our next recipe, we have 5-spice mushroom skewers.
Awesome.
Now, when you think of a typical barbecue, Monica, what do you think about? What kind of foods do you
Ooh,
think about?
some steak, hamburgers, hot dogs,
Yeah.
grilled chicken.
Those all sound great to me,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, but we can also have a plant-based alternative.
love that.
Yeah, a lot of people nowadays, they want something more plant-based, something that's going to make them feel
Mm-hmm.
healthier, lighter, get more minerals and nutrition in. So a lot of people want that plant-based alternative
Yep.
to meats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And here at the hospital, we actually launched a plant-based menu at lunch, and really getting creative with different, substitutes for meat, such as legumes, mushrooms. A real awesome variety of plant-based foods.
Yeah.
It's really nutritious. It also is good for the environment, and I do see that our patients here and also friends, family members, they really want to go plant-based. So this is really exciting to have an alternative to bring to barbecues or to make at your home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I personally love these because you know why? It has 4 ingredients.
Awesome.
That's all you need.
Simpler the better for me.
Yeah, and so, the main star of the show are the mushrooms.
Okay.
Mushrooms are very high in vitamin D, is good for your bone health, good for your immune system.
Okay, great.
And so we love some good mushrooms. You also need some salt, 5-spice, and oil. Now, 5-spice can be brought to the store, and it is a very popular spice in the Asian culture, the Asian cuisine. And if you're going to make it at home, you need 5 spices.
Okay.
That contains fennel seeds,
Okay.
star anise, cloves, Szechuan peppercorns, and cinnamon.
Awesome. All right.
That's if you're being, ambitious and
But we can make
going
it
for
easy, and it does come prepared. And I
Absolutely.
personally love 5-spice. You know, it's made in a lot of different Asian dishes, and it has a very interesting flavor to it.
It does.
And really just packs a punch to whatever you're going to throw it in. So I'm a big fan of it.
Right. And you know what I love about the mushrooms too? It's great as a meat alternative because it has such a tender,
Yes.
juicy taste to it.
And it really has that meaty texture to
Yes.
it, and almost like a meat-like taste. I'm a huge fan of mushrooms, and you know they really, cook up well in any kind of meat alternative.
They do,
any
yeah.
kind of recipe.
I love mushrooms.
Where meat would be the star. You can really have mushrooms be the star.
Yeah, absolutely. And so today we're using oyster mushrooms. We have 2 pounds of oyster mushrooms here.
And they're really fun looking, which I love.
Yeah, they are fun looking. And listen, if you have a mushroom you're particular about and you want shiitake or portobello,
Portobellos,
you can
yeah.
absolutely use that as well. But today we chose these mushrooms. And to start with, the mushrooms come in bunches. I pre-cut them. But what I like to do is cut them at the bottom just enough to separate them.
Okay.
Right? But I actually do love the stems because that's where a lot of the flavor is packed.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of the flavor is soaked up, and that's where you get a lot of the
Okay.
nutrition
Great.
from.
So we want to
Okay?
keep that stem on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So we're gonna put these mushrooms.
Toss them in a bowl.
Toss them in a bowl.
Okay.
We have those 2 pounds of mushrooms, like I mentioned. All right.
And then mushrooms, I know, have a lot of water in them, right? So this
Correct.
might look like a lot of mushrooms, but they really cook down. That water will evaporate out.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So it does look like a lot, but
Right. And so for our next ingredient, we're gonna use salt. You can salt to taste.
yeah. Yeah, if somebody doesn't prefer to use salt, they can probably leave it out, right?
Right, absolutely. And we're gonna have 2 tablespoons of the 5-spice. Eyeing it right now.
And the 5-spice smells great too.
It does, yeah. I really love a good 5-spice. And we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of oil. Olive oil is preferred, any cooking oil
Okay.
that we'd like,
I'm sure you can use less if you wanted
Yep,
to, right?
Absolutely. And what we wanna do is just toss this all together. And so now we're just gonna toss everything that we just put in the bowl together. Make sure all the mushrooms are nice, evenly coated, each side, right? So we want the flavor to just be packed on in there. And, we're gonna be cooking this on a griddle
The
today.
grill, yeah.
Yep, the grill today.
Is there another way we can cook these?
Yeah,
Another
you know
method
what?
of cooking?
That's a good point because, what if you want to make this indoors and
Yes.
you don't feel like going outside and you don't have all you don't have the gas ready, charcoal
Yeah.
ready. So, so
We
actually,
live in New York, so not everybody even has a backyard.
absolutely, absolutely, myself included. So, what I did earlier, I did this one day. I just set the oven to 400 degrees.
Okay.
I threw it in there for 20 minutes on the skewers, and it was beautiful, brown, delicious.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now the next step.
So now that it's all nice, evenly coated and mixed up, we're gonna place them on these skewers.
Now, is there anything we need to know about cooking with skewers?
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
A lot of people who are experts in barbecue and the grill, they say a rule of thumb is ideally you'd want to soak these skewers in water overnight.
Okay.
But let's say you're in a hurry. Let's say you forgot to soak them. Happens all the time,
Yeah.
right? The minimum you want to do is 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can
Now,
just
why
soak them
is
in
that?
water. So the reason for that is if you put these on an open flame or on a hot surface, you don't want them to burn up
Okay.
right away. You don't
Okay.
want them to burn up so quickly, right? So the water kind of slows down
Slows that down.
process.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it. All right. Now, I'll cook along with you if you just
Yeah.
want to show me what to do. So
Yeah,
I just.
absolutely. So now we're going to take the skewers
Okay.
and we're going to grab our mushrooms
Great.
and just place them on the skewers one at a time. We're going to
So
fill
this
these
is
up.
similar to making kebabs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're gonna see, it's very interesting. So even though these are just mushrooms, you're gonna see they do actually look like meat once they're done.
Now, is there anything else I can add to this if I wanted to,
Yeah,
add something else
absolutely.
to this recipe or to the skewers themselves?
You can definitely add even more vegetables.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? You
Yeah.
can throw on some
I'm thinking of peppers and onions.
exactly.
Yeah.
Peppers, onions, mix
Tomatoes
up the texture.
even, right?
Yeah, mix up the texture.
I guess you
mix
could
up the
utilize
flavors.
any kind of vegetables you have, in the house and throw them on here, right?
Yeah, that's like one of the best things about it because, right now we're just using these, but honestly, anything you have in the fridge, if you like that flavor, you just throw it on the skewer.
Okay.
Works out perfectly. Okay.
All right.
So nice. It's looking good, right?
Yeah.
Even right now, it kind of looks like meat.
It does look like meat. I was gonna say
like a
that.
gyro meat, yeah.
Especially that color from the 5 spice.
Right.
All
yeah,
right.
that
These look
five
great.
spice gives it like a really nice brown color.
Yeah, and
I really
I am a
enjoyed it.
huge fan of mushrooms.
Me
I
too.
throw them in anything.
Absolutely. Me too.
All right. I don't know if I did this right. I think it looks okay.
Yeah, looks great. Looks like gyro meat, right?
It does look like gyro meat. I'm gonna add another one.
Yeah. And so
All right.
here we have the griddle, and we set it to 350 degrees, and we're just gonna, place them right on.
Okay.
And you can place yours on right there too. And you want them
Be
to
careful.
sit there for about 5 minutes per side.
Okay.
You really want them to crisp up. So not only is it gonna be juicy and meaty, but if you leave it on for a proper amount of time, it's gonna have a really nice brown crisp to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So we really just want these to get nice and brown on the one side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes on each side now, and check out the texture. It's a
Those
nice.
look so good.
It does, right? You see that golden brown I was
Yeah, and
talking
they even
about?
have a little bit of crisp to it, and it smells so good.
It
That
does.
5 spice smells
yeah,
so good.
it really gets
Yeah.
in your face, right?
I love that.
All right, so now it's all done. We
And it
can
really does look like meat.
It does, right?
If you would have served me this, I would have thought it was a
Me too.
piece of chicken, beef,
I would
pork.
have had no idea.
All right.
Go. And just
See,
be
these look
careful.
really fun. And something a little different, I feel like,
It
to
is.
bring to a barbecue, to make at home if you're hosting a barbecue.
Yeah.
I think guests would be really impressed with this.
Yeah, I don't think another guest is gonna bring you some 5 spice mushroom skewers,
No.
No.
Yep.
You'll be the unique one.
Yeah. And there we go.
Yep.
We wish you a
Happy
Healthy.
summertime.
Thank you for such a good video. Definitely a lot of fun, yummy stuff. So Monica and Ed, can you just explain, who you guys are and what you do at Elmhurst before we dive into the questions?
Sure. So my name is Monica Schmidt. I am the clinical nutrition manager, also a registered dietitian here at Elmhurst Hospital, and I oversee our inpatient clinical team on operations here.
Yeah, and my name is Ed Johnson. I'm the ambulatory clinical nutrition manager here, and I oversee outpatient ambulatory side of things. I'm also a registered dietitian.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can you kind of explain what a registered dietitian is? We hear registered dietitian, we hear nutritionist. Those are two very different things, and I think sometimes we get confused as people not in nutrition.
Yeah. So for the difference is a registered dietitian does need their degree, 4 years of school. After that, you apply to different internships. It could be through the school, it could be through a hospital. If you do get into the internship, that can last anywhere from 9 to 12 months. So, knowing that, and within that internship, you have a lot of experience, not only in a hospital setting, but in the community. You can have it in an outpatient counseling setting. You can have it at food pantries, WIC centers. So there's a lot of experience that's happening within those 9 to 12 months. But during that internship, plus, again, those 4 years of school, a nutritionist doesn't, you can see a lot of people claim to be nutritionists online and things like that. But honestly, there is no backing for that. There is no schooling, and they can just say that they're a nutritionist based on, Googling some information and having that knowledge. And not to say that they can't be good, but that's just the main differences.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So the number one question is, where can people get a description of the ingredients or things like that? Is there a way that you guys can send that over to maybe Queen's Library, and then we can send that out to our patrons?
Yes. Yeah, of course. We can send that out to you. Yeah.
Awesome, great. So one question, someone was asking about spices, and when you make your own spice blends, is there a certain period of them staying fresh? How long would that be? And does the nutrition value change the older your spices are?
Sure. I would say typically you're looking at about 6 months for spices and spice blends. Best bet is just to kind of give them a smell. Make sure, if they don't really have that potent smell anymore, most likely they're not going to add that taste to your dish. So that's probably the best rule of thumb. But I would say around the 6 month period.
Yeah, and the 6 month period is definitely when I would say they're the most fresh, but that's not to say they go bad after that. It's just the most fresh in that 6 month period.
You can still use them, but they might not add as much flavor as they did 6 months prior.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then do you have any, tips for buying quality fresh food when you're on a budget?
Let's start with that.
Sure. Yeah. So first thing, come up with the plan, right? You don't go shopping hungry. It's another good rule. But come up with a plan, come up with a meal plan for the week or the next week or so. I would also, prior to going to the store, look at the circulars in your neighborhood. Look at for coupons. Sometimes just going to like local farmers markets as well, seeing what kind of deals they have. Seasonal ingredients there can sometimes be more affordable than non-season ingredients.
Yeah.
When you're looking at produce, sometimes the frozen options are going to actually have still really good nutrition because they are flash frozen after they're picked. So they do retain a lot of that good nutrient value to them. But then also you can just buy them in a large quantity, keep them in the freezer, and always have them available. You can add some other tips that you like to do as well.
Yeah, and same thing goes for meats too. Let's say you're at the store and you find a good sale on some meats and you want to bulk up on those meats. When you get home, anything you're not using immediately, just store in the freezer. That's going to give you a much longer time to be able to use it. That way, you bought them at a good price and you can store them away. You don't have to worry about it going bad. My personal experience, when I didn't used to go into the grocery store with a plan or anything like that, I would buy a bunch of things. I would come home and then like a week later, half of that would go into it would be wasted because it
Guilty
goes
of
bad.
that too.
Yeah. I've definitely learned to shop smarter now, and I don't do that as much. But those would be some good tips.
Yeah.
Awesome. You mentioned that Elmhurst implemented a plant-based diet. Can you explain more about, what it means to eat a plant-based diet?
Sure. So plant-based diets are going to be more plant-forward foods, less meat, right? So it's going to be things like plant-based proteins, legumes, seeds, fresh vegetables, more whole foods, and less meat. So here at Elmhurst, we're doing exclusively vegetarian plant-based across the board. So you're not going at lunchtime. So you're not going to see any kind of animal protein on our menu at lunchtime. So we are using a lot of things like lentils, beans, tofu. Anything else I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean, also just going along with that, when you are having a plant-based diet, it's easy to kind of buy things. We were talking about this previously. It's easy to buy things that are highly processed, like they have those imitation meats and everything like that. That can have a lot of chemicals in it. Even though there is no meat in it, it's still highly processed. So it can have chemicals. It can be very high in sodium. It can be high in fat still. So plant forward and plant-based is more whole foods, whole vegetables, things like that, rather than buying the processed foods.
Great. And what do you suggest to people who, some people are like, I need to have meat, with lunch and dinner or things like that. How would you suggest them to work their way into more of a plant-based diet?
Meatless Mondays, right? Start one day a week. That's actually how we started here at the hospital. We launched Meatless Mondays, I would say about 2 years ago. And that went over really well. So that's something that you can just do in your life. Try swapping out, your meat, your red meat for mushrooms or lentils, or tofu, and just start there, swapping out the animal protein in your recipes for those plant-based proteins.
Yeah, and you can look forward to that one day. If you're starting with one day, you can look forward to trying like different recipes, and you can get very creative. You don't have to make the same thing every single week. So if you're just starting with 1 week, that gives you time to think about different recipes, different plant forward and plant-based recipes that you want to try out. And it can be a fun activity in your week.
Yeah, and there's tons of fun plant-based recipes, vegetarian recipes out there. I've tried some really fun things like, instead of like a chicken and broccoli, I've made a tofu and broccoli at home. So just things like that, just simple swaps.
Yeah.
Great. And I want to let everyone know who's watching, please put, your questions in the comments. We would love to hear from you. One of my favorites for summer barbecue foods is potato salad, macaroni salad, but those tend to be high in fat with the mayonnaise and everything. Do you have any suggestions of making those maybe a little bit healthier, but we'll still be able to indulge a little at our barbecues?
There are definitely healthier mayonnaise alternatives now, especially since the world is now tending to be more plant-based and plant-forward. There is even like vegan mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Okay, you might be sacrificing some taste here and there, but if you're looking for like healthier fats, that can be an alternative.
Or like an olive oil based dressing instead, right? And even those olive oil, based dressings can actually last a little bit better too than those mayonnaise dressings, especially if you're bringing them out to a barbecue. I recently made a pesto salad, which went over great. So it's a little bit lighter than like the typical mayonnaise salad. So there are things that you can, swap out for the mayonnaise, and just load it up with veggies too. Even grill up some veggies like zucchini, add that to your salad. So you're bulking that up with some veggies as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because even if you aren't, let's say you don't want to replace anything, there's definitely ways to add to the nutrition.
Yeah.
So like she said, just, you can maybe keep it the same if you want to, but you can add a whole bunch.
Oh, I love that suggestion. Greek yogurt for mayo. Yep.
Yeah.
Just like in our yogurt parfait, right?
Awesome. And then another one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorite foods. In the summer,
I do too. I eat anything.
In the summer is, you're at the beach or you're in the park and you're, so hot and you just want to have some fruit that's like so refreshing and that sweetness. But, some people say like, oh, you should limit your intake of fruit because it's high in sugar. Can you speak more about that? Like, do we need to worry? If we do, how much should we be eating when we are, spending time in the sun?
I would say no. Like honestly, unless you have a pre-existing condition like diabetes, yes, if you have diabetes, then you may need to really watch your intake of fruit.
Mhm.
But if not, I mean, I'm not against that.
I'm not
Like,
against fruit. I think it
would-
brings a lot of good nutrients
Right.
to it. You get some fiber in there.
and
And like summer months especially, like
Right.
bring some frozen fruit to the beach, make some like fruit parfait, like make a little smoothie and make them
Smoothie,
into like a fruit pop too, if
Mhm.
you're able to do that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of fun things you can do with fruit. And again, they can bring some really good nutrients
Yeah.
to them.
It provides so much nutrition,
Mhm.
and it would take a lot of fruit for like your sugar levels to spike like that.
Yeah.
It's
One question that came in, someone says that they recently had to go gluten-free. Do you have any tips of avoiding cross-contamination at summer barbecues when people are grilling with things that have gluten?
Yeah, that is tough. That's just something you have to communicate to the guest or the host. To have a designated gluten-free section if you are very sensitive to gluten, where this area is food with gluten-free bread. This is where we're preparing our gluten-free food. This is the gluten-free cutting board. These are the gluten-free utensils that we're using. And that's something similar that we would practice here in our kitchen at the hospital is making to try to prevent that cross-contamination.
Yeah, I've worked at restaurants too, honestly, and that's the main thing. You just have to communicate that and designate certain things, like she said. So,
and I would say, I have friends that are gluten-free, and we always, make sure that, if I'm making a pasta salad, I'm going to make it gluten-free because I want my friend to be able to enjoy that dish as well. So you would hope that, the guest or the host would also try to accommodate to that. And there's great options right now where you don't even notice that product is gluten-free.
Great. Connie says she loves a refreshing mango smoothie. I do too, Connie.
I do too, Connie.
Speaking about, cross-contamination, a lot of we're going to be handling raw meat when we're barbecuing and things like that. Can you just explain a little of like just basic, kitchen cleaning and hygiene to make sure that we're not, touching chicken and then touching something else and we may get sick?
I mean, chicken is like one of the biggest things you really need to be careful with. If you're not sanitizing everything that it touches, you want to make sure if you're handling chicken with your hands and you place it on a board, make sure you're washing your hands really well after, just to avoid any cross contamination, E. coli that can spread from place to place. And even if you're cutting the chicken on a board, it's raw, make sure either you use a different cutting board for veggies and other meats that you're cooking, or you just really sanitize and wash down that board. So,
and cooking meats to their preferred, cooking temperature as well, to make sure that cooking undercooked animal proteins.
Same thing with knives. Highly suggested to wash the knife after every use. If you're cutting into chicken, chopping it up, wash it, and then move on to the next thing. Make sure that knife isn't touching multiple things, multiple items.
Great. So seeing that there's no more questions, if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. What would be, I want one thing or two things from Monica and two things from Ed. What are two things that we should, really think about this summer when we're thinking about being, nutritious and having a good time?
I mean, I think just getting one of the things, stay active, right? And it's so easy to do in the summertime. And we just have to think about being active, being with our friends. It's good for both our mental health, but good for our physical health. Also, we're getting some vitamin D when we're outside. So trying to really enjoy this weather while we can before those winter months hit, where we can get outside and really, go to the park. I've really been getting my steps in this summer. Just really not without trying, right? Just trying to go out and enjoy myself, walk to the park. So I think that's just something I think all of us can do that's easy to do too.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the glossy glow that I have going on. The sweat, you want to make sure that you're sweating, go outside, run, have a good time. And going along with that,
Oh, there we go.
hydration. Monica has this bottle. I have like a gallon bottle that I carry around with me.
Yep.
And we try to finish it in our day. So definitely, like during the hotter months, you're going to be losing water. So just make sure you stay hydrated and gain that fluid.
Yeah.
Gain those.
Yeah,
fluids.
especially if you are going outside
Mm-hmm.
for extended periods of time.
Yep.
And Emily from our audience said, don't forget your sunscreen.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Yes, I wear mine every day. At least SPF 30 or above, at least. Thanks, Emily.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. So I just want to say thank you again, Monica and Ed, and thank you for everyone joining us today. If there are no more questions, I think we're going to close our program. And thank you so much. See us next time at our next Wellness Wednesday. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.